Hey everyone, Mr. G and everyone's favorite class mascot Dale here. Just making a video, one, to say hi and tell you how much I miss all of you, and two, make a little instructional video to help you guys out with the math work that we had today. So stay tuned and we'll go over some of the harder problems that you guys had a chance to look at. All right, coming at you with some math. Fractions, that's the last thing that we left off on. And I know it's been a while since we've revisited that, but this is going to kind of jog your memory a little bit more. A few important things to understand here is the word unit fraction. A unit fraction, I'll type it out for you. A unit fraction is any fraction with a 1 in the numerator or the top number in a fraction. And as you can see, we have a visual representation as well as the written out unit form and the fraction form of 1/8. So the directions on this page are what's really important. It says 1, label the unit fraction. In each blank, draw and label the same whole with a shaded unit fraction that makes the sentence true. There is more than one correct way to make the sentence true. So if we take a look at number 1, I know the sample one's been done for you, but you'll notice number 1 gives you a fraction that kind of looks like this. And now, even though it's kind of hard to see that shaded region, we do know that a unit fraction has a 1 in the numerator. So that means that we have to have only one part shaded, because if you think about it, there's one part out of all these parts that's shaded. It says this picture representing this fraction is greater than, and then you have to draw and label a fraction. So take a look here. We know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts in this fraction. So if there's one shaded part, we do know that the number of parts tell us what the fraction actually is. So this is 1/8 because there's 8 equal parts and one of them is shaded. If we write that as a fraction, the bottom number in our fraction is the total number of parts, and the top number is the amount that's shaded. So we need to find a fraction that is actually smaller than 1/8, because what's going to make the sentence true is, okay, 1/8 is greater than this other fraction. Let's take a look at what I have here just as an example. So here we have the same whole. If you notice, these rectangles are exactly the same size. The whole is the same. Okay, the whole needs to be the same in order to compare the two fractions. So we have 10 different parts that this whole is broken into and one part shaded. Now we know that 1/10 is smaller than 1/8 because the more parts that a whole is broken into, the smaller the parts get. So you got to look at what it says here. If it says it's greater than, you have to make a fraction that is smaller than the one that's given. If it says is less than, you have to make a fraction that's bigger than the one that's given. So let's take a look at another one. Now let's look at number 4. Number 4 was tricky because now we're not looking at rectangles. That's the big difference now. Now we're learning how to split up different shapes other than rectangles into equal parts. If you really look closely, all of these little triangles that the big triangle is split into are equal size. Now, I know the way that I drew it isn't exactly perfect, but on your page, that's what you see. Now, if you count how many total parts there are, remember, the bottom number in our fraction is going to be the total number of parts, and the top number is going to be the total number that is shaded. So if we look at this triangle, we can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parts. So the unit fraction for this is 9ths. Wow, that's a really bad end. And the top number is 1 because there's one part shaded. So now we need to find a fraction that is greater than 1/9. So the sentence that would be true is 1/9 is less than, okay, what fraction is bigger than that? So let's take a look at what I represented here, is what I drew. So if you notice, the holes are the same size. They need to be the same size because you can't compare them if they're not the same size, right? You have to compare holes that are equal in size, and you can see here that this fraction right here is 1/2 because there's two parts. One of them is shaded. 1/2 of it is shaded. So 1/9 is less than 1/2. Make sense? We got one more that we're going to do, probably one of the trickiest ones. Let's take a look now at number 6. Number 6, we have this strange 4-leaf clover looking shape. But if you look at it, you can see there are 4 equal parts. So if there's 4 equal parts, think, what is the unit fraction for each of these parts? Well, there are 4 parts, so think about it. That's right, it's 1 shaded part out of 4 total parts, so 1/4. Now, the sentence, in order for it to be correct, it needs to say, okay, blank is less than this. So you've kind of reversed the order here. The first fraction is actually going to be smaller than the second fraction. So let's take a look at the one that I represented. Now, my drawing is not immaculate like this one. However, you can see that now I have taken the 4-leaf clover and take a look. What do you notice about how many parts there are here? If you counted that there were 8, you're correct. So each part we would call 1/8. And as you can see, what's bigger, a 4th or an 1/8? If you said an 1/8, you're right, because an 1/8 takes up more space or less space than a 4th. So that was probably one of the hardest problems here. I think you guys all probably struggled a little bit coming back to where you were with fractions when we left off. But I think today was a good starting point. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll be here to help you. And take care, everyone. I'll see you all soon.